Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Today I'm in Falkville, Alabama, and whether it was an extraterrestrial, a cryptid, or just a hoax, I'm going to tell you the story of the Metal Man of Alabama. On October 17th, 1973, Jeff Greenhaw, the newly minted chief of police of Falkville, Alabama, received a 10 p.m. phone call from an anonymous woman. She frantically described witnessing a flying saucer over an empty field just south of town. Greenhaw was off duty at the time, but he stilled his nerves, gathered his equipment, and went to investigate. When he arrived at the field owned by Bobby Summerford, Chief Greenhaw did not find a UFO, but something even more intriguing: an actual being. Greenhaw got out of his vehicle and approached the creature. He shouted at the being, but there was no response. As the chief of police apprehensively crept closer, he noticed that this figure just didn't look right. In his own words, it looked like his head and neck were kind of made together. He was real bright, something like rubbing mercury on nickel, but just as smooth as glass. Different angles give different lighting. When I saw him standing in the middle of the road, I immediately stopped the car and asked if he was a foreigner, but no sound came from his mouth. Greenhaw also noted that the figure seemed to have an antenna on its head, and its movements were strange and robotic. The chief dashed to grab his Polaroid camera and was able to snap 4 pictures before the being turned and ran away. Ran in a bizarre way. Seemed to have springs in the feet for propulsion. Could cover about 3 meters in every way. He was running faster than any human I ever saw. Chief Greenhaw gave chase through the field in his vehicle, but the being ran at speeds in excess of 35 miles an hour. Unfortunately, Greenhaw lost control of his vehicle and wound up in the ditch. He could only watch as the being escaped into the night. The pictures may not be that clear, but one thing is, the Metal Man of Alabama was indeed a hoax. Many observers have noted that the suit looks like a flame-resistant suit used by firefighters when battling extreme heat. Although it's not widely known, residents of Falkville have since revealed that the person in the suit was a local teenager named Ricky Joe Smith. After seeing the evidence, you have to ask, who was in on it? As the Metal Man, did young Ricky Joe Smith act alone, or was he just a pawn? There have been theories put forth that some Falkville residents didn't like Jeff Greenhaw and wanted him dismissed as chief of police. Did they pull an elaborate prank on him? But what of Greenhaw's own reports of the incident? Surely he could tell the difference between the flame-resistant suit and something from beyond the stars. And the way he described how the being ran away was certainly not something a human could do. Did Chief Greenhaw even receive a phone call? Is it possible that Greenhaw himself fabricated the entire story and enlisted Smith to play the part of an extraterrestrial? Well, so while the Metal Man of Alabama may have been a hoax, the consequences were quite real. Let's start with the man in the suit. Ricky Joe Smith would go on to become fire chief of neighboring Hartselle, Alabama. It stands to reason that if this was his chosen profession as an adult, a teenage Smith would have access to flame-resistant suits, whether through a friend or family member in the fire department, or perhaps he held a volunteer position himself. Although the people of Falkville knew it was Ricky Joe, he managed to keep his name out of most headlines. As of February 23, 2023, Ricky Joe Smith is enjoying his retirement. Jeff Greenhall was only 26 years old at the time of the incident, and in the months that followed, life was not kind. He was indeed dismissed as chief of police by the town council. Shortly after that, his wife left him, and then his house burned down. Finally, there's Falkville itself. The town is now remembered for this incident. Sometimes the legend is referred to as the Metal Man of Alabama, and sometimes it's referred to as the Metal Man of Falkville, or the Falkville Metal Man. It's been 50 years since the Metal Man's appearance, and while the town of Falkville may have moved forward, they will always look back with a smile.